Okay, so in this particular module, we'll be discussing about the penalties that may be imposed upon the promoter or the allottee or the companies or the real estate agent. Okay, so beginning up with the promoter. So we all know who a promoter is, as I've told you, that a promoter can be a person who he can be a builder, he can be a developer, he can be a contractor who either is making the whole building or is transforming or bringing modifications in an existing building. For the, it's kind of a crux of the definition that has been given in the act. Now, with respect to the penalties of the promoter, it is very, very important for us to understand that what all penalties can be imposed upon a promoter, so that some precautionary measures may be taken up by the promoter while doing certain acts. So, first is that when a promoter fails to obtain the registration, the prior registration, because this is the first essential element. I've told you that obviously if you do not have a registration, uh, you know commencement certificate, or if your plot or your project is not registered, obviously you can't continue to make your project. So that is why it is important that you should have permission or approval by the competent authority, that is your RERA authority should have approved your application for registration. So section 59 actually deals with the punishment for the non-registration under section 3, because section 3 is one which talks about your registration of the real estate project. So it has been said that if obviously a person is not able, if the promoter does not basically register itself, the real estate project with the RERA authority, then he shall be liable to bear a penalty which may extend to 10% of the estimated cost of the real estate project. Now, we have also understood what this term means, estimated cost of the real estate project. Right. So, estimated cost of the real estate project means whatever cost has been put upon to make that particular project, that I told you what all cess, the taxes, the other construction cost that has been included, that is called as the estimated cost of the real estate project. Hope you all remember the definition. Then second is that if the promoter does not comply with the orders or the decisions or the directions that have been issued under subclause 1 of section 59, which talks about that, that you it is the that the when a penalty, like, see, 59 clause 1 basically talks that 10% of the estimated cost of the real estate project has to be submitted by the promoter to the authority if his project is not registered. Now, if let's suppose he does not comply with this also, that he does not pay the 10% of the estimated cost of the real estate project, then in that particular case, he shall again be liable with an imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 years, or it could be a further 10% fine, penalty of 10% of the estimated cost of the project, or with both. It could be imprisonment also plus the penalty that has been imposed of 10%. Now, next is your section 60, that talks about that if the promoter basically fails to comply with the section 4. Now, section 4 is something that talks about your application of the registration, application for the registration, right? So, if he does not abide by the section 4 or contravenes it, then the penalty may extend to 5% of the estimated cost of the project, which is determined by the authority. Next is your section 61, which talks about the penalty for the contravention of the other provisions of this act, which is the next 3 points that have been mentioned. These three are included in your section 61. These three, 1, 2, and 3. These 3 points are included in your section 61. And the first two I have discussed, this is section 59 and this is section 60. Now this is 61. So 61 basically talks that if the promoter contravenes section 3 and 4, तो हम लोग बता ही चुके हैं कितनी कितनी मिलेगी, how much compensation has to be paid. Second is that if he does not abide, next is your section 62, which talks about that if he does not abide by the section 9 and 10. So I hope you all know what section 9 and 10 talks about. So section 9 and 10 is something which basically um, section 9 and 10 talks about your this registration for the real estate agent, and section 10 talks about the functions of real estate agent. So if they contravene these things, so in that particular case he shall be liable to a penalty of 10,000 rupees for every day during which such default continues, and it may cumulatively sum up to 5% of the cost of the uh, project, of the plot, apartment or building. Now over here this cost is not of the estimated cost of the real estate project, but it is the cost of the plot, apartment, or it could be the building. Next is your section 63, which talks about that if the promoter does not comply with the directions, the orders, the decisions that have been given by the authority, then in that particular case the penalty shall be of again every day, which may extend up to 5% of the again estimated cost of the project. So it's estimated cost of the project. Then if the promoter is not able to comply with the orders of the appellate tribunal, it is given under section 64 that he shall be liable for an imprisonment which may extend to 3 years, and for a penalty of every day which may continue up to 10% of the estimated cost of the project. So these are the penalties that are imposed upon the promoter. Okay, so which talks basically about that if you have not obtained registration, then what penalty has to be paid. If you are providing false information, or if you have not complied with section 4, what all penalties need to be imposed. Then third is that if you are contravening any provision or any rule that has been given in this act, what all penalty has to be imposed upon the promoter. Then if he does not abide by the orders, decisions, and the directions given by the authority or the appellate tribunal, then what all liability can be, or what all punishment can be imposed upon him. Then second is your real estate agent. Now when we talk about real estate agent, so again we all now know who a real estate agent is. This has been repeated number of times. Now talking about the penalty on the real estate agent, so section 65 basically talks about that when the real estate agent is not able to comply with the orders that have been given by the authority, then in that particular case he shall be liable for a penalty of every day during which it may cumulatively sum up to 5% of the estimated cost of the plot, building or apartment. So this is section 65. Section 66 talks about the penalty for the failure to comply with the orders of appellate tribunal. So the earlier one was with respect to authority, that if you are not able to comply with the orders of authority, this is given in section 65. Then 66 talks about if you are not able to comply with the orders of the appellate tribunal, then in that particular case your punishment shall be extend up to 1 year of imprisonment, and only up to 1 year of imprisonment, and not and sorry or with the fine for every day which may sum up to 10%, cumulatively sum up to 10% of the estimated cost of the plot, building or apartment, or with both, that is imprisonment as well as fine. Then next and the next is your with respect to the penalties on the allottees. Okay, so allottees, the first one is your section 67, that talks about the penalty for the failure to comply with the orders of the authority by the allotee. So if the allotee is not able to comply with the orders of the authority, then the allotee shall be liable to pay a fine again every day, which may cumulatively extend up to 5% of the cost of the plot, apartment, or building. And section 68 talks about that if the allotee is not able to comply with the orders of the tribunal, then in that particular case the allotee shall be punished with an imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year, and it shall also be extending up to 10% of the cumulatively, it may extend up to 10% of the plot, apartment, or the building cost, or with the both. So this is something important. Next and the last important thing that is very important is with respect to the companies. So section 69 is something which talks about when certain offences are committed by the companies, then in that particular case what kind of penalty needs to be imposed upon them. So where actually an offense has been committed in a company, so every person who at the time of the commission of that particular offense, or who was responsible to the company for its conduct, shall be deemed to be guilty of the offense, and it is upon the burden of proof is actually upon the person to basically prove that an offense that has been committed is out of his knowledge. He has without it's not within his knowledge that how this particular crime has happened. It's not it's out of his knowledge. Then at the same point of time, the act also, like where an offense under this act has been committed by a company, it is proved that the offense has been committed with the consent. Okay, where it is actually prove this thing that the act or the offense has been committed with the consent or the conveyance, or is attributable or because of the neglect on the part of director, manager, secretary, or any other officer of the company, such as the director, manager, or secretary, they shall be guilty of that particular offense which has been committed. So if let's suppose any offense has been committed in the company, so if that particular offense has been committed with the consent of the director or manager or the secretary, then they shall be liable for the punishment that has been given for the offense that has been committed. So this is important. Now it is important for us to understand what a company is. So company basically is something which has been defined in your Companies Act 2013, and the director obviously over in this particular act has been referred or is in relation to a firm, that is the partner in a firm. It can be a case. So this is a very important thing. Then the last but not the least that is the power to adjudicate that has been given under section 71. So if any adjudicating compensation under section 12, 13, 12, 14, 18, and 19 is there. So it could be a case that if any complaint with respect to this is pending in a consumer redressal forum or national consumer redressal forum, the allotee or the aggrieved person can write an application and may transfer it from that particular redressal forum to the adjudicating officer. So this is something which is very very important that needs to be taken into consideration. Then at the same point of time, the application for the adjudicating compensation, it shall be dealt with the adjudicating officer very properly. Whatever inquiry he has to conduct, he must conduct it, and it should be disposed of within the period of 60 days. So where it could not be disposed of within a period of 60 days, then the adjudicating officer again has to give the reason for the same, that why he was not able to dispose of the case within the period of 60 days. So what all factors has to be taken up by the adjudicating officer into account while dealing with these cases. So it is first is that the amount of loss that has been resulted, then the repetitive nature of the default, that is the accused making again and again, he making the default of such a particular act. He is not doing that act again and again. And or it could be other factor which actually the adjudicating officer may find necessary after conducting certain inquiry or certain examination or investigations. So here basically we end our this part. Last but not the least part that we'll be talking is that of the finance accounts and audits and the reports that has been given in chapter 10 of the act. So it's a very it's not so important with respect to this module, so I'll be just mentioning them. So it section 73 is talking about the grants and the loan by the central government. Section 74 talks about the grants and the loan by the state government. Then section 75 talks about the constitution of the fund, which shall also be called as the real estate regulatory fund. And section 76 talks about the crediting the sums realized by way of penalties to consolidated fund of India or the state account. So whatever penalties have been imposed either on the allottee or the company or on the real estate agent or on the promoter, when they sum up, all these penalties has to be deposited in the consolidated fund of India or the state account. And finally, section 77 talks about your the budget account and audit, that obviously the account of the authority also has to be properly maintained. All the relevant records has to be, annual statements have to be made, which shall be basically considered by the auditor general. He is the one who will be looking into the accounts of the authority. And last is your section 78 that talks about your annual report. That is, the authority has the responsibility of preparing an annual report um, once in a year, which shall basically be prescribed by the appropriate government. What all things should be included: a description of all the activities that the authority has done for the previous year. Second, the annual accounts for the previous year and the programs of the work for the coming year. So all these things has to be included in the annual report. So here basically we end studying the whole real estate regulation authority act, because the rest of the sections from section 79 to 92, they consist of a miscellaneous part which are not so important. So these all are the parts that needs to be considered into consideration. So thus finally there are 10 chapters in the RERA act that we have covered, and there are 92 sections in the act. So these 10 chapters are consisting of 92 sections. So here the RERA Act basically comes to an end. What all intricacies are involved, what all penalties are there, talking about the authority, talking about the tribunal, what all are their powers, their duties that they have to keep in mind. What are the duties of the promoter? He has to take into consideration what are the functions of the real estate agent that he has to abide by. So all these things has to be taken into consideration. So this is all the RERA Act. Hope you all have understood some of the sections or some of the important elements that are involved in the Real Estate Regulation Act. So this is all about the Real Estate Regulation Act. Rest one important thing is that there is a case of like a very important case that needs to be discussed, is that of Kamal Relators Act. A case. This is a case where basically the constitutionality of the Real Estate Regulation Act was challenged. The name of the case is Neel Kamal Realtors Act. So in this particular case, the constitutionality of the act has been challenged. It was actually said that this particular act is in violation of Article 14 of Article 300 A, that is right to property, then Article 19 clause 1 clause G, but actually the constitutionality of this particular act was upheld. So this is one important case that one must always read. These are very important. Rest, there are other important cases which different area authority has given. They, so for this particular module they may not be discussed right now, but this is the whole real estate regulation act that we talk about. Thank you.